Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions on the 1970s. Let's take a look at our Quiz Class awards. Let us know how you rank in the comments at the end, along with the answer to the bonus question. Our categories for today, and we will begin with music. Which legendary Beatle invited us all to dream big with the hit Imagine in 1971? John Lennon, David Bowie, or Elton John? John Lennon. Which rock giant took us on a mystical journey with Stairway to Heaven in the early 1970s? Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, or Queen? Led Zeppelin. Which royal band rocked the charts with the operatic masterpiece Bohemian Rhapsody in 1975? Queen, the Beatles, or the Carpenters? Queen. Who got everyone dancing and grooving to the disco fever with Staying Alive in 1977? ABBA, Chic, or Bee Gees? The Bee Gees. Which disco diva made us all feel in love with her signature hit, I Feel Love, in 1977? Donna Summer, Mimi Sommer, or Brooklyn Sedano? Donna Summer. Which psychedelic band painted sonic rainbows with the album Dark Side of the Moon in 1973? Pink Floyd, The Who, or Metallica? Pink Floyd. Which band released Hotel California in 1977? The Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, or the Beach Boys? The Eagles. Which Swedish pop sensation crowned us queens of the dance floor with Dancing Queen in 1976? The Bee Gees, AFA, or ABBA? ABBA. Which singer-songwriter wove heartfelt melodies in the classic album Tapestry in 1971? Joni Mitchell, Janis Joplin, or Carole King? Which Southern rock legends took flight with the epic anthem Freebird in 1973? Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Eagles, or Creedence Clearwater? Lynyrd Skynyrd. Which British behemoths built a sonic fortress with the iconic album The Wall in 1979? The Eagles, Pink Floyd, or Creedence Clearwater? Pink Floyd. Which rock band released the album Dream On in 1973? Kansas, Aerosmith, or Boston? Aerosmith. Which US president had to make a dramatic exit in 1974? after the Watergate drama? Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, or Richard Nixon? Richard Nixon. Which groovy 70s accessory changes colors based on your vibes? The slap bracelet, the pet rock, or the mood ring? The mood ring. Who broke the glass ceiling and took a seat at the U.S. Supreme Court bench in 1979? Thurgood Marshall, Sandra Day O'Connor, or Elena Kagan? Sandra Day O'Connor. Which classic arcade game from 1978 stars a chomping yellow hero dodging ghosts? Space Invaders, Asteroids, or Pac-Man? Pac-Man. Which country hosted the Summer Olympics back in 1976? Japan, Mexico, or Canada? Canada. What colorful 1977 toy became a twisty puzzle craze with its vibrant plastic squares? Lite-Brite, Simon, or Rubik's Cube? Rubik's Cube. Which legendary space probe blasted off in 77 to say "see you later" to the outer planets? Apollo 11, Voyager 1, or Voyager 2? Voyager 1. Which heavyweight champion danced around the ring to win the Rumble in the Jungle in 1974? George Foreman, Joe Frazier, or Muhammad Ali? Muhammad Ali. Which legendary New York City nightclub opens its doors in 77, becoming the hotspot for disco divas and dance-offs? Studio 55, Studio 59, or Studio 54? Studio 54. Which American spacecraft made a giant leap onto the moon in 1972? Apollo 10, Apollo 13, or Apollo 11? Apollo 11. Who was the trailblazing woman who zoomed through the Boston Marathon in 67 even without an official bib? Grit Waits, Joan Benoit, or Kathrine Switzer? Kathrine Switzer. What was the name of the boxy beeping robot who kept Lost in Space afloat with charm and wit? Robot B10, B1, or B9? Robot B9. Let's move over to entertainment. For question 25, what character did Farrah Fawcett play for 29 episodes on the 1976 to 81 TV hit Charlie's Angels? Kelly Garrett, Chris Monroe, or Jill Monroe? Jill Monroe. John Ritter played Jack Tripper on Three's Company from 76 to 84, but he could have lost the role to this comedian: Billy Crystal, Martin Short, or Steve Martin? Billy Crystal. Lee Majors was a star due to his role on The $6 Million Man. But Lee Majors was not the actor's birth name. Can you guess what it is? Marvin York, Harvey Lee Geary, or Leonard Mayer? Harvey Lee Geary. Which one of these are not true of Lynda Carter and her role on Wonder Woman? She never did any of her own stunts, she came up with the Wonder Woman spin, or she got the role when she was broke. She never did any of her own stunts. Henry Winkler was definitely a 70s TV icon with his character on Fonzie. But there was a chance that he would not have been the Fonz if this actor had been just a little bit shorter. Christopher Reeve, John Travolta, or Mickey Dolenz? Mickey Dolenz. True or false, David Cassidy, who played Keith Partridge on The Partridge Family, was such a heartthrob and teen idol that his fan club membership surpassed that of the Beatles and Elvis Presley. This is true. And let's move over to question 31. The hit TV series Dallas made a star out of Larry Hagman. We all watched to see who shot JR. How many US viewers tuned in? 83 million, 102 million, or 65 million? 83 million. What was the original character's backstory to Mary Richards' character in The Mary Tyler Moore Show? A newly divorced woman, a single career-driven woman, or a widow? A newly divorced woman out on her own. Lindsay Wagner became iconic in the 1976-78 TV series The Bionic Woman, a spin-off of The $6 Million Man. Her character, Janie Summers, was what before becoming bionic? A tennis player. Erik Estrada is best known for his TV character Officer Frank Poncherello on the series Chips. True or false? He never drew his gun on the show. This is true. Telly Savalas, better known as Kojak from the 1973-78 series Kojak, was godfather to this well-known actress, Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry, or Jennifer Aniston? Jennifer Aniston. Peter Falk plays a detective in the series Columbo. He only goes by Columbo throughout the show. What is Detective Columbo's first name? Fred, Frank, or Frodo? Frank. Let's move over to sports for our next category. What team snapped UCLA's 88-game winning streak in men's basketball in 1974? USC, UCLA, or Notre Dame? Notre Dame. UCLA's 88-game winning streak began in 1970. Who did they last lose to before the streak began? UCLA, USC, or Notre Dame? Notre Dame. What New York Ranger goalie recorded his 103rd career shutout in 1970? Leslie Carson, Nolan Roy, or Terry Sawchuk? Terry Sawchuk. What two teams played in the last American Football League championship game in 1970? The Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Who became the first man to win the Daytona 500 6 times with his victory in 1979? Richard Petty, Richard Betty, or Richard Reddy? Richard Petty. Who did Magic Johnson's Michigan State Spartans defeat to win the NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship in 1979? Purdue, Indiana, or Indiana State University? Indiana State University. Who tied a then Major League record by striking out 19 batters in a game in 1970? James Seaver, Tom Seaver, or John Seaver? Tom Seaver. For what race did Janet Guthrie become the first woman to qualify for in 1977? The Daytona 500, the Kentucky Derby, or the Indianapolis 500? The Indianapolis 500. On July 18, 1876, who earned the first perfect score in Olympic gymnastics? Mary Lou Retton, Esther Williams, or Nadia Comaneci? Nadia Comaneci. How many gold medals did U.S. swimmer Mark Spitz win at the 1972 Olympics? 1, 12, or 7? 7. What was the name given to Franco Harris's miracle catch in 1972 that put the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC Championship game? Perfect Reception, Immaculate Reception, or Immaculate Championship? Immaculate Reception. Who was the first member of the Negro League to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame? Colby Cryer, Russell Green, or Leroy Page? Leroy Page. And let's move over to movies for our next category. Question 49. Which actor became the galaxy's favorite farm boy and wielded a lightsaber as Luke Skywalker in the 1977 space adventure? Anthony Daniels, Harrison Ford, or Mark Hamill? Mark Hamill. What's the beeping, wheeling, blue-boxed buddy who saved the day in the 1977 Star Wars saga? Wall-E, R2-D2, or C-3PO? R2-D2. Which tough guy laced up the gloves to punch his way into our hearts as Rocky Balboa in 1976? Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, or Sylvester Stallone? Sylvester Stallone. Which Spielberg wizard made us all fear the deep blue with Jaws in 1975? George Lucas, Stanley Kubrick, or Steven Spielberg? Of course, Steven Spielberg. Which epic space opera reigned supreme at the box office in the 70s, making the force strong in 1977? Star Wars 67, Star Wars 57, or Star Wars 77? Star Wars 1977. Which legendary actor donned the wise and powerful role of Vito Corleone in the 1972 Mafia classic? Murray River, James Caan, or Marlon Brando? Marlon Brando. Which debonair star suavely saved the day as James Bond in 1973's Live and Let Die? Gail Moore, Roger Moore, or Christian Moore? Roger Moore. Which singing sensation took Dorothy on her magical journey in the 1973 twist of The Wizard of Oz? Daniel Ross, Oprah Ross, or Diana Ross? Diana Ross. What's the rebellious name of the guy who flew over the cuckoo's nest in the 1975 classic? Randall Murphy, Randall McMurphy, or Randall Ford? Randall McMurphy. Which legendary director drove us crazy down the gritty streets in Taxi Driver, 1976? Sidney Lumet, Martin Scorsese, or Brian De Palma? Martin Scorsese. Which underdog boxer story floated to the top, winning Best Picture Oscars in 1976? Network, Taxi Driver, or Rocky? Rocky. Which acting icon embodied the noble Atticus Finch in the 1976 To Kill a Mockingbird flick? Henry Ford, Martin Peck, or Gregory Peck? Gregory Peck. Let's move over to TV for our next category. Which actor brought the scheming J.R. Ewing to life in the iconic TV series Dallas? Patrick Duffy, Linda Gray, or Larry Hagman? Larry Hagman. Which groundbreaking medical drama aired from 1982 to 1988, featuring a stellar cast of doctors at the fictional St. Eligius Hospital? St. Elsewhere, Chicago Hope, or ER? St. Elsewhere. What was the no-nonsense name of Carol O'Connor's character in the legendary TV series All in the Family? Fred Sanford, Mike Brady, or Archie Bunker? Archie Bunker. Who took on the role of the resilient Kunta Kinte in the powerful TV miniseries Roots? Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, or LeVar Burton? LeVar Burton. Which gritty crime drama had us rooting for Private Eye Jim Rockford as he cracked cases with style? Columbo, Kojak, or The Rockford Files? The Rockford Files. What quirky alien character stole our hearts in the beloved TV series Mork and Mindy? E.T., Mork, or Alf? Mork. Which classic sitcom sashayed onto our screens in 1975, featuring Henry Winkler's iconic leather-jacketed legend, the Fonz? Happy Days or Three's Company? Happy Days. Which out-of-this-world sci-fi series blasted off in 1978, showcasing a brave crew navigating the stars aboard the Galactica? Buck Rogers, Space 1999, or Battlestar Galactica? Battlestar Galactica. Which slick detective show swung into our living rooms from 1975 to 1979, starring the suave James Garner as Jim Rockford? Acropolis of Athens, Magnum PI, or The Rockford Files? The Rockford Files. Who donned the scrubs and brought the laughs as Hawkeye Pierce in the heartwarming TV series MASH? Alan Alda, James Garner, or Tom Selleck? Alan Alda. Which variety show twirled onto air from 76 to 79, hosted by the dynamic duo Donnie and Marie Osmond? The Osmond Sibling Show, The Donnie and Jane Show, or The Donnie and Marie Show? The Donnie and Marie Show. Who was not a character from St. Elsewhere? Meredith Grey, Dr. Donald Westfall, or Dr. Mark Craig? Meredith Grey. World News for our next category. What year did the U.S. Supreme Court rule on the case of Roe versus Wade, legalizing abortion? 1971, 1972, or 1973? (1973). Which MLB team won the most World Series in the 1970s? Oakland Athletics, Cincinnati Reds, or the Los Angeles Dodgers? The Oakland Athletics. Which of these cities did not host the Olympic Games during the 1970s? Montreal, Sapporo, or New York City? New York City. What anniversary did the U.S. celebrate in 1976? Biennial, bicentennial, or the centennial? The bicentennial. What country did Pablo Escobar, the famous drug lord, live and operate a huge heroin and cocaine business? Peru, Mexico, or Colombia? Colombia. How many official sequels have been made to the original Jaws movie, first released in 1975? 2, 5, or 3? 3. What was the name of the major basketball league that merged with the NBA in the 1970s? Basketball League of America, Ballers League of America, or the American Basketball Association? The American Basketball Association. Which comedian was the very first host of Saturday Night Live on its first show on September 1975? Andy Kaufman, Bill Cosby, or George Carlin? George Carlin. Atari was one of the first video game developers that came up with Pong. What country are they from? Japan, South Korea, or China? Japan. What was the name of the TV producer who was behind the sitcoms All in the Family, The Jeffersons, and Maude? Aaron Spelling, David E. Kelley, or Norman Lear? Norman Lear. Who won the decisive third fight in the Joe Frazier-Muhammad Ali boxing rivalry? Muhammad Ali or Joe Frazier? Muhammad Ali. True or false? The VCR, the laser printer, and the Walkman were all invented in the 1970s. This is true. And let's move over to fill in the blank. Astronauts survived disaster aboard Apollo what? Astronauts survived disaster aboard Apollo 13, 11, or 10? Apollo 13. Huge amusement park Disney World opens in New York, California, or Florida. This is 1971. Florida. Israeli hostages were taken at what Olympics? Rio, Beijing, or Munich in 1972? Munich. The Miami what finish off a perfect season by winning their first Super Bowl in 1973? The Miami Tigers, the Miami Dolphins, or the Miami Bulls? The Miami Dolphins. President Richard Nixon resigns after the Watergate scandal breaks in 1974. President of what country? The US, Canada, or Germany? US President Richard Nixon. NBC airs the first episode of its sketch show, Saturday What Live? Afternoon, night, or morning? Saturday Night Live. Steve Jobs and Steve what found Apple Computer Company in 1976? Steve Ford, Steve Gates, or Steve Wozniak? Steve Wozniak. Star Wars Episode what? A New Hope was released in 1977. 6, 5, or 4? 4. Pope John Paul I became the what Pope? The 233rd, 253rd, or 263rd? This is 1978. The 263rd Pope. Who released his super popular album Off the Wall? Michael Jackson, the Bee Gees, or John Lennon in 1979? Michael Jackson. John Travolta's character first name in Saturday Night Fever was Carrie, Antoine, or Tony? Tony or Anthony? What was the only Beatles studio album released in the 1970s? Revolver, Abbey Road, or Let It Be? Let It Be. In 1976, the serial killer of Son of Sam operated where? In Auckland, California, or New York? The serial killer, Son of Sam, operated where? In New York. What was the only Stephen King movie adaptation to be released in the 1970s? Carrie, Jane, or Carol? Carrie. Before it was raised to 21 in 1975, what was the legal drinking age throughout the US? 20, 18, or 17? 18. Who took over as US President when Richard Nixon resigned in 1974? Gerald Ford, FDR, or Ronald Reagan? Gerald Ford. And our bonus question, true or false, the US fought on North Vietnam's side during the Vietnam War. Let us know the answer in the comments, and of course how well you did with our Quiz Class Einstein rewards. We'd love to know and hear how well you did in the comments. As always, thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and we will see you in our next one. Bye-bye.